seatbelts, touch all your connections, touch your Hans. Make sure you get everything like you want it. Favor, touch all your seatbelts, touch all your connections, touch your Hans. Just make sure you get everything like you want it.
Well, good evening, Sigma Race fans. We come at you live here tonight from the moon, Mars Super Speedway, for the Sigma ARCA Championship finale. And it wouldn't be a Sigma ARCA race without an outlaw gang of front row. Yet again, these two starting on the front row, you've got Philip Purpura and Snake Plissken. Followed by the recent standout driver here, Mason Alexander III, who's been mixing it up with the big ones up front, start alongside Tim Morse. Silent Amethyst and Heen Clutchoke, a pair of LFG Motorsports teammates there. Ralph Oberstadt and Aiden Sparks, Juliana Bold, and Billy Lovejoy. Your current points leader rolling into tonight, all he's got to do is get a top 5 finish to secure the championship. Ryan White starting 12th here tonight alongside Kyle Chestnut. Jimmy West and Lenora Hathaway Shy Turtle and Craig Bush, Ace Vaden and Campbell Marsh, TG Castlenut and Paul Valenzuela. Then you got Chris Jeremio, Sebastian Galloway Jr., Derek Hipcam, Jeremiah Pate. Gabe McDuffie along with the 43 of Brandon Butler II. Jonah Burge has an outside chance and a little bit of luck tonight. He could get a championship for himself. Deeper in the field, you got Finley Herwig, who's still alive for the drive. With a little bit of luck tonight, he could get it. And Santi Messi still mathematically eligible, but it'll be a long shot for that number 5 team. 45 cars here on the moon tonight. It's going to be a jam-packed race. A lot of points on the line for these drivers. As it is always, super speedway racing, more of a wild card. Tonight, 200 miles at the super speedway. It's going to really test these ARCA drivers to their limit. Are we going to see yet another outlaw member? Oh, and then the 08 of Jimmy West already blowing up before the race has started. Coasting around on the apron with mechanical failure on the 08 of Jimmy West. Blown engine right from the start. That is a tough break. Doesn't even get to turn a lap here tonight, folks. If you thought you were having a bad day, yeah, you might not be having near as bad a day as Jimmy West there, blowing up before the green flag even dropped. But here we go, rolling into turn 1 for the first time here tonight. 100 laps, the distance, the championship on the line. We will try our best to give you the play-by-play with your title contenders in this mix. Ryan White already stuck 3 wide up high, dropping backwards here. I wouldn't say that he's safetying up because there's really no safe spot on this track, no matter where you fall back to. But it does seem like he's kind of taking a minute here to get the track figured out, get the layout before going all in on point killer mode tonight. Right now, Santi Messi in front of him. That would be good for Messi to start gaining some points here tonight. He's going to need a lot of them. About 100 points to get back into the championship lead. What would have to happen is the 70 of Ryan White would have to have a terribly bad finish, possibly even wreck out. 3 wide with another title contender on the inside. Here comes Finley Herwig. And Ryan White is dropping backwards here, folks. That is your championship points leader right now. He's playing it safe. He knows that he's got a pretty good buffer here tonight, but not enough of a buffer to sit back in 30th and just hope for the, best case scenario to happen. When I mentioned he had to finish at least top 5, that means he has to finish at least top 5 to guarantee himself the championship, that there's absolutely nothing else that could happen with him finishing in 5th. Now the one that would have to win this race would be the 45 of Jonah Burridge. Pretty much if Jonah Burridge wins this race and Ryan White finishes 6th, it is the championship for the number 45 team of Jonah Burridge. It's a little harder for Finley Herwig. He would have to win the race, have Jonah Burridge finish outside the top 5, and also have Ryan White finish outside the top 15. You could be looking at Finley Herwig, our first full Brit to be fighting for a championship here. And Finley's doing just what he must. He's moved already up into the top 21. So mid-pack, midfield here. Meanwhile, the rest of the field up front has been pretty well scattered. Single file, looks like. Man, Mason Alexander III is really trying to put his name out there. Very deserving of a great ride in 2026. That 53 is looking stout. And here he is fighting with Philip Purpura on what would be the race lead here, as the two of them have drove away from Snake Plissken and Tim Purpura. Mason Alexander looking to try and take the lead away from Purpura here on lap 9, going on to 10. But it's going to be Purpura holding the lead, but for how long here? 53 looks stout. Here he is with a good run. He gives a little bit of a nudge there to let him know he's right there. It's like, hello, knock, knock, who's there? It is Alexander the Third, running in second. Meanwhile, let's jump backwards here a little bit and see how that points battle is brewing. Finley's moved up to 18th, so Finley, as I mentioned, with a good run here tonight, he's going to have the other guys finish so many spots behind him. Based on the points behind, he'd still have to get a much higher in the points here to beat and outpoint the 45 of Jonah Burridge. But Burridge is showing he's having a bad race here tonight, as is the 70 of Ryan White, who has continued to plummet backwards. He's sitting in 39th at the moment. Well, now Purpura is sitting pretty solid as the Outlaw Gang is trying to get around the 53 of Mason Alexander III. Snake Plissken and Morse duking it out side by side here. And what I will do here tonight, folks, is stay tuned. Once the race finishes, I will go into live scoring. It'll just be a, intermission mode where you'll be sitting at the ad screen. But we will have, during the stream here, during the broadcast, an announcement to confirm and conclude who is the champion this year. It may take a little while to get scores all settled out. 45 cars, this is a big field for an ARCA series. And, with that means there's going to be higher points payouts for the driver that does win the race. It's going to be an interesting turn of events here after the dust settles on the moon. 4-car breakaway at the front of the field. It looks like Mason Alexander III trying to close that gap back up to the 52 of Purpura. How fitting would they be running the 52 and the 53 in numerical order 1 and 2? The 53 would like to mix that up and take over the top position, though, as he's caught up to the number 52 Ford of Philip Purpura. Purpura keeps giving him a runaround. He gets caught up and then drives away with it. So catching him is one thing, passing a whole different story. And here comes Snake Plissken knocking on the door, trying to get up to second. Knowing Mars Superspeedway, there is going to be at least one huge, big wreck here tonight. The Galactic one. You know, they call them the big one at Daytona and whatnot. Here in Sigma, we call it the Galactic one. At the moon, the Mars Superspeedway. And hopefully, none of our title contenders get tangled up in that. But you never know. There's a lot of space out here in the middle of outer space to get tangled up in a wreck not of your doing. Well, now the Outlaw Gang is running 1, 2, 3 as they both got by the 53 of Alexander there, taking over the second and third. Purpura has led the whole way so far, but Plissken up to second now. Might make it interesting between the trio, the Outlaw trio at the front of the field. Still running in the back half of the field here. And it's looking like Ryan White's starting to pick him up a little bit. He's up to 34th now, but once you're this deep in the field, the points are going to be hard to come by tonight. All in the meanwhile, you've got Jonah Burridge running 26th. Santi Messi running in 24th. And on a mission here tonight, folks, Finley Herwig has climbed all the way up to 12th so far. After starting the furthest back of the title contenders, this man is on a mission. Finley wants to get that title and knows that the blood is in the water right now. His title contenders having a little bit of trouble during the first segment of the race, and he's moved all the way up into the top 12. Ooh, they're getting a little wild there in front of him. I don't know if that was a accident waiting to happen. You could see him get way low down below the apron. With great speed comes great responsibility, and it's crazy that these drivers have not made a mistake yet here tonight. Hopefully all are having a great night so far, enjoying this racing action on the moon. Fastest lap in the race so far, it is Tim Morse, who's up front in the top 3 fighting for the win here. Purpura gets past, and Snake Plissken jumps to the lead now, somewhere between the last 4 laps. He will lead lap 24, it looks like, but maybe under attack for lap 25 as the 53 of Mason Alexander III gets alongside of him. This will help everyone else start to close back up on these leaders if they cannot keep sorted quarter of the way through the race here tonight, and the Outlaw Gang has dominantly led many of the laps here already. But there we go. Mason Alexander III takes the lead for the first time tonight away from the Outlaw Gang. We will see how fuel mileage factors in tonight. Whoa, Purpura made contact there with Pliskin. That got a little bit physical. 24 didn't get loose or anything, but that might have been a little bit of a wake-up call. Man, brash coming from a group of drivers that all work together. The fact that the 52 gave him such a nudge there, I'm surprised that those two would even make contact like that. Those of you in the stream, I put up a poll for those that want to participate. Who would you like to see be the 2025 ARCA champion this year? Obviously, it's down to 4, so you got 4 options to pick between. Ryan White, Jonah Burridge, Finley Herwig, and Santi Messi. Kind of just a fan vote on who you think or who do you like the best at winning this championship tonight. Based on how things are going right now, Finley Herwig is on the mission. He is starting to close the gap to the front half of the field. It could be Finley's night if everything goes the right way. Obviously, pit stops and cautions could still rear their ugly heads. And even though he's beaten his title contenders at the moment, they could always come back and strike him. Steal that position away and take the title. But Finley now trying to get up into the top 10 for the first time tonight after starting outside the top 30. Finley is a lot better tonight than he has been in the last couple weeks. It has been a rough patch. That 68 team, I think they may have been given up at one point within the last week, last month basically. It wasn't looking promising. And they roll in tonight knowing that they've got just as good of odds as anyone to fight for this title. And maybe that was just the icing on the cake that they needed. You know, knowing that this race could be very unpredictable tonight. And no one really knew what they were preparing for. So, in enters Finley on the edge, the verge of being eliminated from contention. And lights a fire under him that no one else can hold a candle to. 2 wins on the season, 4 top 5s, and 9 top 10s. That is the season for Finley Herwig up to this point. 3 DNFs, and of those 3 DNFs, they came in the last month when he raced at Kansas in particular. And since that DNF, it's been a tough stretch of racing for the last month. At Texas, he had a 28th, Pocono 13th, and Meridian 11th. So, from one of the guys that looked like the lights out contender to take the title this year, had kind of pivoted in the other direction of Ryan White, who has not seemed to have faltered here, but he hasn't really been able to find victory lane either since race 1 of the season. So Ryan White with 1 win this year, 4 top 5s, and 14 top 10s. The top 10 ratio is probably what has got him up to number 1 in the point standings. And pair that with only 1 DNF this year. The guy's had a very consistent, very stout season. It may not be the most flashy, filled with race wins, but you can still get the job done without winning a bunch of races. Well, here's what's crazy. I feel like based on how they're running right now, Jonah Burridge, 24th, may very well be making enough points to outpace the 70 of Ryan White. And so based on that, Ryan White would be losing the points lead over to the 45 of Jonah Burridge. Whereas, at the moment, if Finley Herwig can get up to the lead, he would be leading this championship title battle as well. So, a lot of moving pieces here tonight. I don't expect everyone to keep up with it, but I'll do my best giving you the play-by-play. I don't know if Finley is prepared to fight for a win here tonight with the Outlaw Gang. They have been tough to beat. But he can continue to try and pick them off one by one, move his way through the field, and just hope for the dominoes to fall in his favor. Wow, the Outlaw Gang playing second fiddle to Mason Alexander III at the moment. He is slowly starting to drive away from the trio here. Having led most of the opening segment, Philip Purpura has settled into third at the moment. He's trying to make a move on Morse for second. That 88 car is a lap down, so don't have to worry about him getting in the mix, messing things up. But even then, you got to give the lap traffic credit for trying to still race hard here tonight. He may not be a factor in the win, but he's still trying to get back on the lead lap, and hopefully he doesn't ruffle any feathers moving through the lead pack here. Can only imagine that maybe it was an off-strategy pit stop for the 88 there. That is Kyle Chestnut in the 88. Already 40 laps through the race tonight. This one is going to blitz by pretty quickly here. We have not seen the Galactic one yet. No one has wrecked. It is caution free, which is actually quite contrary to what we expected to see here tonight. Most of the races we've hosted here on the Moon has kind of gone haywire. The ARCA cars, they knew what was the assignment here tonight, and they showed up ready to gain extra credit. Running clean, running strong, running fast, careful, but also calculated. And we've seen the lead swap hands a couple times now between Mason Alexander III, Philip Purpura, and Snake Plissken. However, Tim Morse has not yet been able to lead a lap, so that 60 car trying to get up there so he could lead for a brief moment in this race. If you look up at the ticker right now, it's showing the bottom of the field. We'll have to keep a quick eye to see if we recognize any of the title contenders, maybe mechanical failures. Doesn't seem to be the case, as Kyle Chestnut in 43rd. We know where he's at. Chris Jaramillo must have had a blown engine, and Jimmy West with the blown engine right from lap 1. We're actually lap 0 for that matter, because he didn't get to turn the first green lap here tonight. There we go. Philip Purpura. Tim Morse back to the front of the field. Morse gets the lead for the first time tonight. And he's going to get credited with leading a couple laps here as he's holding off his one comrade in the 52. And just like that, Finley still holding on solidly in 10th at the moment. TG Castlenut moved up to 9th. He's trying to close out the season on a high note. The season has been up and down like a roller coaster for the 63 JSR team. Some good finishes here, some bad finishes. The bads were starting to outweigh the goods, but he's still got another race here tonight that he can end it on a high note. Man, our other title contenders just did not show up tonight. Santi Messi in 21st, he's pretty much eliminated if he doesn't win this race here. Jonah Burridge is now getting tracked down by the 70 of Ryan White. Now, Ryan White's getting back into the threshold to keep that points lead. He's got it right now over Jonah Burridge. But if Finley Herwig can get any more spots, it's going to force Ryan White to finish higher than 25th by pretty much the entirety of the field, how they're running right now. So it's all going to come down to Finley, and if he's got it in the tank to get up into the top 5, and even better, a top 3 would pretty much start to ice it for him. With 54 laps to go, there's still a lot of racing. There's going to be at least one pit stop here tonight. We're going to probably get it about halfway, a green flag pit stop if we don't get a caution, about lap 50 here. Which would be nearly perfect, because then you know that you can make it to the rest of the race without having to make any extra stops. Finley's in alongside the 18. And this would be for 6th place if he can get by Craig Bush. Oh, wow. Early pit stops. This is not ideal. The 68 had to pit first. The undercut here is going to leave him about 3 laps shy to the finish. Oh, is that who I think it might be? With a blown engine? It is. It's Jonah Burge with a blown engine. Title contender, having some mechanical failure, and he retires. The 45 of Jonah Burridge is out of the mix. That just makes Finley Herwig's night a little bit easier. Finley Herwig doesn't matter now as much as he can finish this race. Jonah Burridge is eliminated from the title. Holy cow, folks. So he's going to be relegated to nearly dead last here tonight. Finley Herwig is going to be about 2 laps short on fuel. Let us look and see in on our points leader right now. He's pitting 1 lap later. Ryan White's going to be about 1 lap shy to the finish. Honestly, though, he's going to be about, man, it's going to be right on the dot almost. 50 of 50. Here he is on lap 50. Finley was about 2 laps short. If he's able to get a caution somewhere in the night, it'll save him tremendously if he's able to get at least a caution. As they're going to come blowing by all the drivers leaving the pits now. And I think I saw a yellow. Yes, we do. We have our first caution of the night. That may very well give Finley the needed mileage he needs to finish this race. Trying to look for the damaged vehicles out there. Perhaps a phantom debris caution, as we like to call them. Oh, there we go. The first wreck of the night. Right off the fender of Ryan White. That already is a pretty blatant move. Sigma officials could tell that that was a bad call for the 70 team. He's going to be issued an end-of-line penalty for right hooking the driver there in the 26 of Aiden Sparks. Aiden was able to get it recovered. That was a dirty move for the 70. And talk about championship implications. I mean, you're the title leader at the moment, and you're gonna make a bonehead move like that. Man, it's would not want the title to be decided that way, but it could come down to that tonight. Yeah, the 45 is going to be credited with 43rd place here tonight. A large field, a full field of cars here in the ARCA series, and he is going to get credited with a 43rd. Hard break. Wells, we're going to take a minute here to recover. Tim Morse, your leader. Philip Purpura in second. Mason Alexander the third in third. Snake Plissken. Craig Bush. Heen Clutchoke. Sarah Robert. Lenora Hathaway. Ace Vaden. Santi Messi. Whoa, Santi Messi up in the top 10. Ralph Oberstadt. Gabe McDuffie. TG Castlenut. Jeremiah Pate, Tasha Wright, Campbell Marsh, Kaylee Sheets, Timothy Buchanan. Wave around. '19th, it's Finley Herwig. 20th, Juliana Bold. 21st, Shy Turtle. 22nd, Astro Atlas. Stephen Miller. Carlos Eduardo. Chase Kovacic. And then Silent Amethyst, Billy Lovejoy, Kyle Chestnut, Ryan White, who will be sent to the end of the longest line. That means even the guys that just got the wave around here, he's going to have to let them by. We should see the pace lights turn off this time around. The Outlaw Gang is going to reset the field here tonight with 44 laps to go. Fuel mileage might be a little bit of a factor here tonight. They are a little bit lucky that this caution fell when it did to give them at least a fighting chance. We will implement green-white checkers if need be here tonight, as is pretty common here in the Sigma series. Heartbreak for Jonah Burridge, man. I mean, he was just trying to hold on and keep it, you know, in a reasonable shot to get it here, and just not meant to be. Finley's going to have to resurge here a little bit as he drops back to 19th. Not a done deal. He does have the inside line, which will be very huge here. And based on how things set right now, he's going to have the entire field over points leader Ryan White, who got penalized for intentionally wrecking a driver to bring out the caution here. He's lucky that the penalty wasn't more severe. An end-of-the-line punishment for wrecking someone. The speeds they're running around the super speedway, it's as fitting as you could, as fitting as it could be to give someone a penalty like that. But now our caution's going to breed cautions. That's the big question of the night. Now that we had our long green flag run, is there going to be the galactic one? Are we going to see a pile up the size of Texas on the moon? ARCA drivers are showing what they've learned all year long. They're putting in the reps here tonight, proving that they are a lot better than they were from race 1 this season. The field has continued to grow pretty drastically from race 1 of this year to race 26. And there we have it, the wreck that we didn't want to see. And it's going to be a big one. Finley was taken out by the 5 of Santi Messi. Oh boy, man, oh man. They're tumbling, they're wrecking. No. No. That was the one thing we didn't need happen. Those were your other 2 title contenders in that wreck. Both the 5 and the 68. And here's Ryan White kind of coasting up front, looking peachy. Wow, folks. What a tough break. So let's see exactly how this all transpires. Santi Messi drives it in a bit too deep there. Runs into Lenora Hathaway. And man, Finley just gets ragdolled around the track there. It's heartbreak central tonight, folks. There's no two ways around it. Man, the 49 just dog piles in there, collecting the 68 of Finley. His night's not over, but he's kind of in a must-win scenario where he's going to need the 70 not to finish the race at this point. They're going to do their level darndest to get that 68 at least functional and able to meet a minimal race pace. But at the moment, he's trapped 40th. Wow. Well, Ryan White doing what he must to try and stay alive. Hasn't had the best car here tonight, and sometimes that's how your championships may be won. Well, this is just the name of the game when you decide to end the championship on a super speedway, folks. You know, everyone's got the same playing board. Obviously, the 70 could have been taken out here today too, and you know, we can't crown no champion until the end of this race. You know, it's not a guarantee that anyone's gonna walk out of here victorious. There's still enough points. Well, that just became very definitive there, as the 68 has retired from the race. Finley Herwig out. Santi Messi out. 38th, or rather 39th for Santi Messi, 40th for Finley Herwig, and 43rd for Jonah Burridge. Now we're going to be looking towards who will win the race tonight, as the title is decided. Ryan White is your champion. Ryan White gets the job done, as the other three contenders are all eliminated here by lap 61. That was not the story that we were writing early on here. It looked like Finley Herwig had a very triumphant return to form here tonight. Was looking strong, was looking very fast. Just wrong place, wrong time. Knocked out of the race. Kind of a shame that the drama subsided. Drama decided this one, and the excitement subsided. But now we'll focus on the other. You know, there's still going to be a driver winning this race tonight. And could that be a feel-good story? Could we see someone that doesn't often win get a win here tonight? Maybe a teammate to some of the fallen, trying to recover for the drivers that got knocked out of this one prematurely. Well, here we go. 38 laps to go, and cautions do breed cautions here tonight, as who knows if we'll get green for very long or if we're going to get another wreck before the end of this one. These ARCA cars, they're running hard. They want to win a race. They want to go home on the top step of the podium for the last time this year. It's going to be bittersweet knowing that this is the last ARCA race of the season. One of the higher decorated series that we host here in Sigma, with the most following and the most excitement and the hype and people that just tune in and love to watch it. So, yes, it is very bittersweet, but that just means we got something to look forward to next year. 2026 is already starting to look pretty solid with some newcomers joining the field. And who would want to race in a series like this where the championship was not decided up until 40 laps in the final race of the year? And it could have went all the way down to the final four. It could have went down to the last 4 turns of the track. And it was setting up to be one of those classic battles of the ages. Championship battle where Ryan White was the points leader on his back, having to fight to get back into it. But it was all for naught as Finlay Harewood got knocked out. Ryan White stayed alive. Santi Messi knocked out. And Jonah Burge. Here we go. The lead of the race. It is Tim Morse leading over Snake Plissken, the Outlaw Gang, running 1-2. But a newcomer in the top 3 is you've got the 18 of Craig Bush, who's gone winless this year. Chase Kovacic, he ended up winning the final race of the season last year. Could Chase Kovacic make it a back-to-back closing of chapters in the Sigma ARCA series? But they're going to have their hands full with the Outlaw Gang running 1-2 in front of them. They've pretty much made up for 90% of the race wins in the last 2 months, which is insane. Here we go, Snake. Santi's long gone. Snake is the one running in second there, running down the 60 of Morse. Getting right up on the back bumper of the 60, loses a little bit of ground there. This could be a good battle for the win here. Got to kind of start turning your focus to the rate, the champion, the season champion, Ryan White, having a bad night and all that, but surviving, adjusting, trying to stay out of trouble. You almost got to feel like he's going to want to get a little more out of his car here. He can even risk it and push it a little too hard and get in a wreck and still have the championship because all of his contenders are already retired here tonight. So it's one of those things where you would love to finish your championship bid with a race win. And at least he's still out there running. He could potentially get that race win tonight, but it's going to take a little bit of work as it seems like his car just never woke up here tonight. How far back is he? There he is, 24th, and he's losing spots. So just taking a victory lap as the champion of the series here in 2025. Canadian. It was going to be Canadian versus Australian versus Britain. A British guy, an Australian guy, and a Canadian guy all came into the racetrack with one hope tonight, to win a championship. Only one of them will leave with that championship. Oh, and they're wrecking behind. That looked like a nasty one, folks. I hope. Aw, man, it's Aiden Sparks again. He's been knocked around too many times here tonight. Oh, and that's going to be the 63 of TG Castlenut, 95 of Sebastian Galloway Jr. As we continue to wreck here at Mars Super Speedway, it's only going to help slow the racing action down. And you got to start wondering if we're going to see green-white checkers here tonight if they keep wrecking like this. A blown engine out of the 69 of Cooper Landry, it seems. And blown header, he's going to retire, finished 38th here tonight. 95 Sebastian Galloway after that wreck is retired and finishing for 37th here tonight. Kovacic starting to creep his way into the picture here. He is one win on the season so far. His first win of the season came at Watkins Glen, so this is kind of a flip-flop of track skill sets. Running a road course, he took home victory, and now tonight at the Super Speedway. We've already adjusted for next year. We're not going to end the championship on a Super Speedway for the Sigma ARCA series next year. Those adjustments had already been made during the off season this year. Well, heading into the off season of this year, since we're still racing. But Sigma ARCA next year, their championships will be, it's going to be split between Phoenix and Nazareth. So a very unique way to finish the season is you're going to have the Sigma Alpha and the Sigma Delta, which is the equivalent of an East and a West series for the Sigma ARCA series. And yeah, Phoenix, championship battle there at Phoenix, championship battle at Nazareth. And the overall champion will be decided a little bit differently. We will have what would be classified as a half champion for the Alpha and a half champion for Delta. All drivers will be pretty much credited with the same points throughout the season, and there will be the best of the best from the 13 races of the Alpha division and the best from the 13 races of the Delta division. And you'll take them, whichever points, you'll apply those points for this one final race. And that one final race might not even be, it might be a technicality if you have someone that has like a 60-point lead rolling into that final race of the year. But it'll be like an all-star event where you've got the best drivers from the Alpha division and the best drivers from the Delta division racing here on Mars Super Speedway. So we'll still have a technical championship to determine here on Mars next year. It's just going to be a little different, kind of with a twist. Well, here we go. 26 laps left to go. They're 4 wide in the 10th place there, it looks like. Pedro Sales and Stephen Miller, Billy Lovejoy, and Ace Vaden. They settle into 2 wide, but man, that could have got ugly there quick. And Snake Plissken with the lead now. Morse trying to get it back. Drag race down the front stretch to 60. Side by side with the 24. Oh, and now we got Shy Turtle moving up through the field. 53 got way out of sorts there. I don't know how he got so high here. It looked like he almost got loose. Just drove it kind of out of line there. We're under caution yet again, folks. Ooh, and that was a hard hit. 88 kind of just stalled there, and I don't know what was going on. But it collected the 43 of Brandon Butler II, who's going to have to retire after the damage sustained there. Well, we're trying to get back racing. Ah, it was a oil leak for the 88. The 88 had a oil line that gave away and lost oil pressure, and that's why he stopped in the middle of the racetrack. This might be the longest 23 final laps of a race that we've had in the Sigma ARCA series, knowing just how important the win here tonight could be for some of these drivers. We keep dropping the pace lap on the pace car so we don't burn too many laps under caution here. The single car spins are easy to clean up, and we shouldn't have to spend too much time under yellow. But you know, these drivers are biting it, chomping at the bit. They want to get back going. They want to get this race in the books here. Snake Plissken, your leader. Tim Morse, Craig Busch, and now Shy Turtle up into the top 5 here tonight. Could Shy Turtle potentially do something unheard of and win in 2 different series in the same year? Well, with 21 laps left to go once they take the green flag to restart it, Snake Plissken and Tim Morse will be duking it out. Craig Busch and Shy Turtle looking to shock the field here tonight. Philip Perpera trying to regain what he's lost. Julia Anna Bold in the top 10 there, as well as Pate, Mason Alexander III, Chase Kovacic, and even Steve Miller. Gabe McDuffie hanging around there in the top 15. He could get into this, especially being on that inside line for the restart here. That should help him get to a good position where he's fighting for position up front. Slow roll for Snake Plissken as Tim Morse gets the better jump there. But Pliskin's going to have the advantage on that inside line as they go rolling into turn 1. Plisken trying to get an edge up at the front here. The 2 Dodge Dart teammates side by side, drag racing down the back half of the track. Ooh, and Shy Turtle's dropping backwards. Snake Plissken takes over the top spot. Jeremiah Pate now up into 4th. Gabe McDuffie is trying to get up into the top 10, maybe even the top 5 before long. Here he is knocking on the door of 8th. Now, Shy Turtle's dropping way hard here. On the move, though, it is Ryan White, your championship winning driver, now up to 12th. He's going to prove that it was all in the cards here tonight. Didn't matter if he was going to be running at the back of the field. He was going to jump to the front by the end. And that might make a couple of the disgruntled contenders feel better if they knew that the 70 was going to go out and win anyways or finish top 5. You know, Ryan White, he knew that he had to get a top 5 tonight, and that was probably his the target that he had set for himself rolling into this race. He knew that that was the goal, and he wants to still achieve that goal no matter what the situation is at hand. Here he is now cracking the top 10 for the first time tonight, up to 9th. That would be a championship run right there. You've already got the championship. You might as well race hard and try to take all the points you can. make it look prettier. But it is the Outlaw Gang leading the way. Snake Plissken, Philip Purpura back up to second, and Tim Morse running in third. These are three drivers that are going to be contending for titles before long. They're moving up into the Bridge to Cup Series next year already just because of how dominant they've been in the ARCA Series. Their stats way exceed their position as an ARCA driver. So, quick move up to Bridge to Cup. We'll see how well they fare in the big pool. But I don't think they're going to skip a beat. These are some stout drivers, a trio, who will find their way to the front of the field no matter what it takes. Look at that, Ryan White up to 8th now. And it's going to be a no-doubter. Like I was saying, he's got the championship locked up right now, but he wants to prove it. He wants to earn it. He wants to leave here tonight feeling just a little bit better, that the championship was no fluke. That in equal equipment, he was going to get beat here tonight, but he knew the car was going to come to him at the end. They had the setup just dialed in for the late end of the race. Imagine if Finley Herrig was still out there running right now. If Finley was up there running in 4th, he'd be sweating bullets that the 70's already up into the top 10 here. And how about that, folks? After getting penalized for right hooking a driver, getting sent to the back of the entire field, the longest line, and yet Ryan White persevered, rose above, didn't let that phase him one bit. He came back stronger, throwing punches even harder. And now look at him, champion of the Sigma ARCA Series 2025. That right there, folks, is the storyline worth a million words. Paints a pretty picture. Seeing this 70 car up front, you know, it would have been cool to have them all fight for it right down to the final lap, but Ryan White had to pretty much fight back all night. And even when it was stacked against him and he made a mistake, you know, one of those lapses in judgment, sometimes as a driver you make those. And he decided to spin out the car to bring a caution. Well, maybe he knew exactly what he was thinking. You know, it brought out more cautions here tonight. And it stacked the field back up. And who knows, you know, the butterfly effect. You do one thing and it creates an entire chain of events. But here we are, Ryan White finishing out the night with now 10 laps left to go. The Outlaw Gang, 1, 2, 3. They rolled in tonight. They knew that their biggest competitor was going to be the 53 of Mason Alexander III. And they wanted to figure out a way to quell that fire. Well, they somehow managed to quell that fire and then some, since Mason Alexander III fell back outside and now he's moving into the top 5 again here. With 9 laps to go, is Mason Alexander going to catch them, or are they simply just going to roll away with it? Purpura wants to get back to the lead here as he's closed the gap on the 24 of Plissken. Seems like no one gave Jonah Burge any love here tonight, even though he still had a very valid chance to get in it. The back and forth here tonight was something to behold when we saw the title contenders fighting it out. Kind of swapped hands a few times, but the uncontrollable happened, and it happened in an ugly way for that first caution of the night. The second caution took out a big part of the field. Ryan White's looking to settle in for a top 10 finish here. Well, and the cool thing for Ryan White, your champion, is he will be moving up the ladder. It was already kind of set aside that he would move up the ladder. Jacob Schengel Racing has given him a shot in Bridge to Cup for next year, and that'll be interesting to see what Ryan White can do in pretty good equipment for Bridge to Cup. The Bridge to Cup title was crowned last night. We got to see Alex Crowther take home the championship over the other 8 contenders that were still alive to take the title. Alan Malcolm came up short, finishing second in that race, and he had a shot, but just did not come to fruition. Snake Plissken is looking to settle the season as the winningest driver here in ARCA competition for 2025. Joined the field late. His win percentage is a little bit over 50. Actually, I think it's a lot a bit over 50. The win ratio for Mr. Snake Plissken in 9 races run, he has gotten 3 wins. This would be 4 of 10, so I was just off a little bit. He's under 50%, but if he were to win here tonight, that would be his 4th win on the season in just 10 starts, so that would be impressive nonetheless. No other driver has 4 wins in ARCA competition. The only driver that came close was Jonah Burge at 3. Mason Alexander III at 3 as well, who joined in very late. So Mason Alexander III, believe it or not, has actually started less races in 7 starts. He's had 3 wins. Go figure. So if he were to get up here to win this race tonight, he would be 4 for 8 with a 50% win ratio. But that ain't going to happen. White flag waves. It's Snake Plissken at the front. It'd take a mechanical failure to lose the race right now. Plissken rolls around for the last mile around the track here, leading his outlaw gang to victory, leading them to the promised land. It is a 1-2-3 finish. Snake Plissken takes it home for his 4th win on the season. Philip Perpera led a lot of laps, came in 2nd. Tim Morse did well and came in 3rd. And it was Mason Alexander III with a 4th place finish. Chase Kovacic, Jeremiah Pate, Craig Bush, Juliana Bold, Kaylee Sheets, and your champion bringing it home, top 10 tonight, Ryan White, gets the job done. Survives the carnage, the chaos, and gets to join a very exclusive field, including Wyatt Wilkinson, Only 2 champions because there's only been 2 seasons of Sigma ARCA racing. And that, folks, is how you crown a champion here in Sigma.
Greg, did you have any?
Well, thank you, folks, for tuning in to the Sigma ARCA Championship finale. Don't go anywhere, as we will still have a truck race here to follow. The East Coast Trucks Championship finale at Pocono. 80-lap event there, 200 miles, the final cut for the trucks. Kind of similar to last night, I'll go ahead and step away, and minimal commentary. I might hop in here and there. Got some house chores to attend to. But congratulations to Ryan White getting that championship here in the Sigma ARCA series. It was a very spirited battle all the way to the finish, and someone was going to come out on top. We've got our first Canadian-born champion in the Sigma ARCA series. So way to go. We had an American win it last year, Canadian win it this year. That's just going to be an international affair, I feel like, going forward in the Sigma ARCA series. A lot of great talent still coming up through the wings. Well, we had our first caution here in the race. Well, it was the 15 of Tim Morse that got spun out there after having a good race in the ARCA race tonight. Looks like he's going to have a rough one here in the trucks. The boss man, though, and the number 81 of Snake Plissken running the top 3 here.